Donald Trump is now saying he is too afraid to debate Vice President Kamala Harris anymore. Well, he's trying to claim that he did too good of a job and therefore he can't debate. But we all know what that means because we all watched it with our eyes and ears and we saw what went down. You want a recap of what went down? Well, Vice President Kamala Harris right now is trolling Donald Trump with the highlights for her, the lowlights for him, and she's mocking his advisors as well. Let's just start off playing that video, huh?
What I can tell you is Donald Trump has been preparing for this his entire life. He always is prepared, and he's ready to take Kamala Harris head on that stage.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
President Trump is well prepared for the debate tomorrow night. That is right. He doesn't need traditional debate prep.
You have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
It's imagine like a boxer trying to prepare for Floyd Mayweather or Muhammad Ali.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
And for those who are listening, the clips that are kind of in between the debate footage are Donald Trump's advisors about what they said they expected to happen before the debate. All right, let's bring in Brett and Jordy. I just had to put that right at the outset. Donald Trump's been posting over and over again, no more debates, he says. He's giving a speech in Tucson, Arizona, where he's saying he's not going to be debating anymore. His team is saying he's not going to be debating. Vice President Kamala Harris out there taking a victory lap, but more significantly, pointing out that this is still going to be a close race and that people need to recognize how dangerous that was. Not just how bad Donald Trump did, but how dangerous it was. Brett, Jordy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, no, I thought that was a great way to kick off the show today. The trolling has been ramped up. I got to say, the Kamala Harris campaign is doing an A++ job with all their ads, all their rapid response work. And Vice President Harris, as we said in our post-debate coverage, did such a fantastic job in that debate. Donald Trump looked weak. He was absolutely humiliated in the debate. He could not make any sense in any answer. He was screaming. He was rambling. It was an utter disaster for Donald Trump, but it was not just a bad night for Donald Trump. It was a very good night for Vice President Harris, who presented the American people with a message of hope, a message of optimism, a coherent policy message, and really knew how to get under Donald Trump's skin the entire time. It was such a joy to watch, quite frankly. You know, it was just a very effective debating skills on display there by the vice president. And we'll get into all of that. Jordy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. VP Harris had Trump brothers from the opening handshake and never looked back. It was incredible. And I do also have to give you two a huge shout out for your during coverage and post-debate coverage of the debate. So guys, excellent job. I think we had 85,000 concurrent viewers during our post coverage that y'all were helming. So wild. Good job, brothers. And thank you for everyone who tuned into our coverage, the pre and post, and especially the patrons who joined that as well. Thank you guys. And it was a phenomenal evening all around.
So let's take our viewers and listeners to what's happening just moments ago. Donald Trump's speech in Tucson, Arizona. Compare that to what Vice President Kamala Harris was saying earlier in the day. And then we'll rewind to the debate from Tuesday and show you what went down there. The highlights for Vice President Kamala Harris, the lowlights for Donald Trump. We'll talk about the things surrounding the debate, like Donald Trump bringing a very dangerous individual named Laura Loomer, who's now his top surrogate, as she spews hate and filth and says some of the most disgusting things imaginable. Trump could not be closer with her right now, bringing her to a 9/11 memorial when she's a 9/11 conspiracy theorist denier as well. A post that she made 9/11 was an inside job. That's who Donald Trump brought to the memorial with him, and he brought her to the debate. But let's show you what happened a little bit earlier in Tucson, Arizona. This is from today, as Donald Trump claims that everybody saw 2 nights ago that he had a victory. Here, play this clip.
As everyone saw 2 nights ago, we had a monumental victory over Comrade Kamala Harris in the presidential debate. We won big with independent voters, moderates, Republicans, and working people all across this nation, putting forward a clear vision to, very simply, make America great again. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris showed up spewing empty rhetoric, the same old lies, meaningless platitudes, offering no plans, no policies, and no details whatsoever. Nothing.
Actually, she was very detail specific. She offered policies, a vision for the future. And you, sir, talked about eating cats and eating dogs, which he then doubled down on today as he made post after post with AI images of him holding cats and geese and ducks and puppies, and other posts of him holding cats and running away from groups of black people, some of the most racist, xenophobic, and horrific posts. This is what the leader of the Republican Party has to offer, which is filth, weird stuff, and just unhinged lies. But let me get this straight, Donald. So you claim the debate went great for you. He also previously sent out an email after the debate that said, I love ABC. I love ABC News. Well, at his speech in Arizona, you said you love the debates, but also he calls ABC stupid. And when I show you this clip, though, I just want you to think about this rhetoric right there. And again, he is a petulant kindergartner. And no offense to petulant kindergartens, because they're not even as bad as this. The leader of the Republican Party is like, they were stupid. ABC was they were just so stupid people. Here, play this clip.
Never going to let that happen. We can't let that happen again. But when they had exit polls, 2016, and they said, oh, he's getting killed in the exit polls. And I remember NBC and that stupid ABC that did this horrible debate. Those two people should be fired as an anchor. A couple of more years, they'll be fired. And she was nasty. She looked at me with hatred in her eyes. And him, he's a nice guy. I mean, they were told to do it by George Slobodanopoulos, who's in the group, right?
They were stupid. And then George Flopadopoulos, and she's nasty. I mean, again, just the rhetoric, the behavior, just every aspect of it is absolutely disqualifying. And it just shows you what he does over and over again. He loses. Like he loses the election, and then he spreads all of these conspiracies, and he doesn't even give a crap, nor do his followers, that they're all internally inconsistent. It was a great debate. I hate the debate. It was rigged, but I did great while it was rigged. I really won it, and that's why I'm not doing future ones. It just reeks of weakness. And again, I don't care what political party you're from. I just don't know how you watch that and not see a weak, pathetic person right there. And here he goes, because he says he did so good in the debates, he goes, there's not going to be a third debate. Sure, Donald, sure. Here, play this clip.
That I can tell you. So because we've done 2 debates and because they were successful, there will be no third debate.
You know, one of the things that Donald Trump was asked about, which he couldn't articulate any policies at all, is, look, you wanted to repeal the Affordable Care Act. You wanted to take away health care from tens of millions of Americans. And we all remember what it was like, too, when the big insurance companies would deny health coverage for people who had pre-existing conditions. You were condemned to die. And I know the way MAGA Republicans think about COVID, I guess that isn't a big deal to them when millions of people just die, including their own people. They just act like what? It doesn't happen, or it didn't happen, or they just blame it on some conspiracy. But Donald Trump was asked, okay, so you want to repeal Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act. So do you have a plan? What is your plan? And Trump's response was, I have concepts. I have some concepts that we're working on. And if you remember, and we've done a lot of videos on this before, the same thing with Infrastructure Week, the same thing with his healthcare plan. He would always say, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks. And like, when I was younger and we'd have to wake up really early for school and my alarm clock would go off, right? And I would go, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes. Okay, that's not a way to run a nation when people's lives are on the line, period. And that's what he does. So here, Vice President Kamala Harris, at her event that she gave earlier today, this one was in Charlotte, North Carolina, in front of thousands of people. She goes, remember what he said, that he has no plan to replace it? Here, play this clip.
You heard what he said in the debate. He has no plan to replace it. He said, concepts of a plan. Oh, you all watched the debate. Concepts. No actual plan, concepts. And understand what's at stake on that. 45 million Americans are insured through the Affordable Care Act. And he's going to end it based on a concept.
I mean, it's funny, but it's also incredibly dangerous. And again, one of the things that I think she showed as well is how easily he could be manipulated, right? The moment she talked about crowd sizes, the moment she said that, it was over for him. And he lost it. He became unglued. He became untethered. Then she was just like, can we just move past this? Here's Vice President Kamala Harris from the speech earlier today. They was like, we got to turn the page. Okay. We got to move beyond that. Here, let's show you this from earlier in the day.
Because it's all about him. It's not about you. Well, folks, I said it then, I say it now. It's time to turn the page. Turn that page. Turn that page.
And one of the things to turn the page on also is just the 24/7 grift from Donald Trump, right? So in between attacking ABC and saying it was rigged, but also at the same time that it was great and he did fantastic and he actually won, which he did not. It was not rigged and he did very, very bad. What else was he doing? Well, he was unable to come up with a plan for healthcare while ripping your healthcare away. He can never come up with a plan for infrastructure, which President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were able to do. And now there's close to 50,000 new infrastructure projects going up. But he found the time to do this. Play it.
Join me live on Twitter Spaces at 8 p.m. this September 16th for the launch of World Liberty Financial. We're embracing the future with crypto and leaving the slow and outdated big banks behind.
He's launching his own cryptocurrency and more NFTs. There's a lot more to discuss, of course, but I'll pause here. I want to toss it to Brett and Jordy to give your reaction to everything that we've just seen. Brett, we'll go with you first.
Well, I'll say everything we saw from Donald Trump there is completely disqualifying. And this is why we say on the show that this isn't about left, right, center, moderate, whatever labels you want to put on this stuff. This is about right and wrong. This is about being pro-America or just being deranged anti-America and being crazy. And this toxicity that Donald Trump has pumped into the American zeitgeist is just so vicious, and it has brainwashed so many people, and it leads to real consequences. Like we're talking about, Donald Trump in this debate and talking about the dogs and the cats and all this stuff, which has become a bit of a meme. And yeah, Donald Trump has been laughed at repeatedly for this. And we'll show you some moments of that soon. Don't get me wrong. but this has real life consequences on people's lives. This is affecting people's safety. There are Haitian migrants right now in these towns in Ohio who are being forced to stay home, who are being forced to tell their kids that they need to stay in their homes because they are getting threatened by Trumpers, by people in the towns, because they are being accused of these heinous things by these MAGA people, because Donald Trump is spreading these lies, despite the fact that all the actual officials in these towns say nothing like what Donald Trump is saying is real whatsoever. There was an American hundreds of miles away who did something disgusting, eating somebody's pet or something, that was not a Haitian migrant. It was an American citizen, and they were arrested for it. And this was a month ago. But Donald Trump has turned this into his typical fear-mongering against migrants and his typical fear-mongering against African Americans. And this is just the most disgraceful thing. And to me, push everything else aside, right? You want to talk policy? We could talk policy, but let's push everything else aside. Somebody willing to lie to your face like this. In the best case scenario, he's lying to your face, right? The best case scenario, he's a liar. And so somebody willing to go around and tell you that you did not see what it is that you saw. Somebody willing to say, I won that debate and that's why I'm not doing other debates. Somebody to make this egregious lie about these migrants in these towns. When somebody is saying that to you, and it's so obviously false, that right there is disqualifying. That is not the mark of a leader. That is the mark of a traitor. That is the mark of a disgusting human being. And I don't care even anything else the guy says. That in and of itself is disqualifying. I mean, it's just such reprehensible behavior to see, and to see people going and backing this just despicable human being, lie after lie after lie, not giving a damn of the repercussions of what this means for anybody else who gets affected by these lies. And there are plenty of other people too, I've seen lots of, American citizens in Ohio who have had their kids killed, who Donald Trump is using as a cudgel to try to bash migrants and blame migrants for killing their kids, when that also did not happen. And so now they're having to speak out while they're mourning about their dead son. They have to speak out against Donald Trump and the harassment that they are on the receiving end of by Donald Trump's followers. This is not normal behavior. And that's why this should not be presented as a left-right, oh, you're left-leaning because you're speaking out against Donald Trump. I'm speaking out against Donald Trump because I'm a human being and because I care about other human beings and I care about the country. These are not left-right issues. If you want to write down left-right issues was making up conspiracy theories about migrants eating cats and dogs, would you go, oh, it's quite conservative. That's quite conservative values you got there, everybody. Oh, that's I guess today it is. I guess today that's the new Republican Party that Donald Trump has transformed this thing into. But if you accept that left-right paradigm with this crazy stuff, you're normalizing it, and I refuse to do that, Jordy.
Absolutely, Brett. And for me, it just comes down to like one simple question. If you wouldn't let your teenager behave the way that Trump behaves, then why would you allow your president to behave that way? It's that easy for me. And I think most Americans, I have high confidence that most Americans who are actually pro-democracy view it in that lens as well. And then, Brett, going back to Donald Trump amplifying these right-wing conspiracies about the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, that has real world consequences, exactly how you laid out, that the folks in Springfield, Ohio, now these Haitian migrants, that they're terrified for their lives because these Trump supporters are targeting them. It's a scary thing that's happening. On top of that, what else have we seen as of today, Thursday, the recording of this show? Well, there was a bomb threat called into City Hall in Springfield, Ohio. You're telling me that because all of this attention now suddenly about this crazy right-wing conspiracy is happening, that these two things aren't connected? No, they're connected. Because this is absolutely despicable behavior. And Brett, what do you call this? Stochastic terrorism in its full display of what is happening right now, because there's an entire leader of a political movement, the Republican Party right now, that chooses to amplify this disgusting rhetoric.
This isn't politics as usual. This is just Trump as usual. And this behavior has been normalized as just the other side. And the fiction that the media wants to put out there is there's just radical and extremes on both sides. No, this is the leader of the Republican Party, spent the entire day today posting AI images of himself holding cats and geese and ducks and speaking in speeches in front of cats and holding cats running away from groups of black people in these AI images. That's not normal. It's not normal for him to create fake AI images of Taylor Swift and Swifties, Taylor Swift fans, and then make a fake endorsement of him using the AI. By the way, that's one of the major reasons that Taylor Swift said it was so important for her to come out and let people know why she was endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz. I do want to note our editorial team at the MeidasTouch Network, led by Ron Filipkowski, were among the first people also to break the story about childless cat ladies that J.D. Vance has spent his entire political career talking about. Again, that's not normal. If you want to tell me you're conservative because you believe in certain ways of dealing with our budget and spending, and you have certain views about taxation, since when was it a conservative idea to say the biggest threat to American democracy is childless cat ladies? And then to say that the role of postmenopausal women is purely to take care of their grandchildren? Like, what weird and bizarre and hateful and mean-spirited rhetoric for anyone to use, yet alone J.D. Vance as he goes up there prancing around in his eyeliner on Fox, attacking marginalized communities, attacking women, and then just spreading this utter hate and this filth. Again, Trump's behavior here is not normal. So look, when we see viewing parties watch this, and there's been so many clips like this going viral, is it cathartic to see a room of people laugh at him when he talks about eating cats and dogs? Yes, but our politics have become sick and infected by this Trumpism virus. Here, play this clip of this group of people where Trump's the laughing stock to the entire world. I've seen so many clips like this. I'll just show you one of them. Let's play it.
Talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
And I do want to give credit here to Bill O'Reilly. It's a crazy sentence to even say. And Geraldo Rivera, who are Trump supporters. Wow, right? They at least gave an honest assessment after the debate about how bad Donald Trump was. Now, I guess they're on News Nation, so they can, even though I think then the network overall tilts kind of right, if we even want to adopt paradigms or talk about it that way. But these are Trump supporters, and let me show you what they both had to say. Play this clip.
I mean, they talk about migrants eating dogs and cats. I mean, that's something Saturday Night Live would do. Why would you even bother to do that?
He was childish. He was creepy. He was cringy. That thing about eating dogs, they eat dogs, he was obsessed with it. He wouldn't let it go. He put that bone in his mouth and he rattled it. And I thought that she withstood Hurricane Trump. She came across as competent, even confident after that first half hour, which I agree with you, Trump, that was definitely his best half hour. Then he just descended into chaos. He couldn't make a straight point. He kept returning to generalizations as thinking that through braggadocio alone that he could prevail. He was terrible tonight. And you can apologize for him all you want, but he did not seem presidential. He wouldn't even have made the debate team at a junior high.
You know, an interesting thing here. So a group called Edison Podcast Analytics and Research, which is one of the top podcast analytic companies that talk about ratings, they just analyzed the pure audio numbers. They didn't go into YouTube or anything like that, but just based on audio podcasts, they have the MeidasTouch Podcast as the number 2, what they call liberal podcast in all of the United States of America. And they say, in contrast to the conservative podcast, who they list as like Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Glenn Beck, Dan Bongino. To be clear, they have number 1 on the liberal podcast for audio. This is just audio numbers, is Pod Save America. Number 3, they have Young Turks, but number 6 is the Rachel Maddow show, just so you see, like, I think how significant, at least that is for audio numbers. Number 8 is Mea Culpa, which is on the MeidasTouch Network. So we have 2 of the shows on the top 10 for audio podcasts. But look, as Brett, you said before, the fact that we're pro-democracy, yes, do I have liberal views and progressive views? Absolutely. But this idea that you put a dividing line, look, I'm happy to be on a list as a number 2. I want to be number 1, but I'm happy to be number 2. But the fact that you put me on a list and say, well, on the other side, Dan Bongino and Mark Levin and Sean Hannity represent conservative. If they want to conserve the monarchy, I guess they're conservative. If they're trying to conserve Vladimir Putin's power, I guess call them conservative. But I think I'm far more conservative than them. I agree in conserving our democracy. I believe that when I see a bad debate, whether it's Biden or Trump, I say it's a bad debate, like I did after Biden's debate. I don't go, oh, it was rigged and it was all unfair and there was a secret earpiece that Kamala Harris had. That's not conservative. That's weird and deranged. And when we come back, I'm going to show you Donald Trump's top surrogate, Laura Loomer, the 9/11 denier who Trump brought to the 9/11 memorial, out there. And Donald Trump's like reposting her stuff, saying Vice President Kamala Harris got the answer sent through her Tiffany earring. That ain't conservative. Again, that is madness. That is psychotic, in my opinion. That's what that is. By the way, big news. After this episode, around 6:15 Pacific, 9:15 Eastern, join us for about 45 minutes. We're going to do our after show live, a Zoom meeting with our patrons. So make sure you join patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Check it out, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Make sure you subscribe. I really enjoyed that viewing party we did for the debate on Patreon. We got so many new patrons to join. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff like that on Patreon, and we'll see you at the after show. Now, we still have a lot more show to go right now, so we're not even halfway done. So buckle up. We've got a lot to discuss, including Donald Trump rolling around with top surrogate Laura Loomer. We want to talk about that. Some of the new polls that are out are very damning to Donald Trump. Maybe we'll give you a little bit of legal news updates as well. That and more. Let's take our first quick break of the show.
It's tough to keep track of all the transactions we make every month. Did you know that the average American makes around 70 payments per month? Honestly, I couldn't even guess how much I was spending until I started using Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that empowers you to save more, spend less, and take control of your financial life. With Rocket Money, you could see all of your checking, savings, credit cards, and investments all in one convenient place, allowing you to understand your spending trends. Rocket Money can help you set up a custom budget by identifying top spending categories and suggesting areas where you could adjust your spending habits. They'll calculate your monthly spending allowance and alert you when you're close to going over budget so you could save more and spend less. I was shocked to see how much I was spending on my phone bill, and Rocket Money helped me make the right decision for my finances. They also have a goals feature that automatically saves money for you so you don't even have to think about it. Whether your goal is to pay off credit card debt, save up for a house, or just keep more money in your pocket, Rocket Money makes it easy. And here's the kicker. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you, sometimes by up to 20%. Saving money on your cable and cell phone bill without the hassle? That's a win. Rocket Money has over 5 million happy members and has saved users over $1 billion across all their app's features. That's 1 billion with a B. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Get Rocket Money today at rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. That's rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. MEIDASTOUCH. I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. Let's face it, after a night of drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I used to feel like I had to make a choice. I could either have a great night or a great next day. But now, I don't have to choose, thanks to pre-alcohol. Zeobiotic's pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct byproduct in the gut. It's actually this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your next rough day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on getting up early for a workout or handling a busy work day without worry. I won't lie, I was a bit on the fence about pre-alcohol at first, but then while hanging out with some friends at a rooftop bar, I gave it a shot. I had my first pre-alcohol before my go-to margarita, and the next morning, I felt amazing, just like my normal self, ready to take on the day. I kept hearing about pre-alcohol and wondered what it was actually like. Now that I've tried it, I believe the hype, and with their GMO technology, ZBiotics is working on more products to address other toxic byproducts of modern living in the gut. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use the code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS. ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use that code Meidas, MEIDAS at checkout for 15% off.
It's that time of year. Football season is kicking off, and Prize Picks is the ultimate way to amp up your game day experience. As America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks makes it incredibly easy and exciting to play. So here's the deal. You simply pick more or less on player stat projections. It's just you against the numbers, not complicated matchups against other players. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Preseason football is underway, but you can also pick more or less on 2024 season stats on Prize Picks. Will Patrick Mahomes throw for more or less than 4,300 yards? Will CJ Stroud's sophomore season result in more or less than 4,150 yards? Enter your season picks before week 1 kicks off. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. If you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning your $10 into $1,000. Want to join? Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Meidas and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code Meidas on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Let's go.
Go.
Shout out to our pro-democracy sponsors, y'all. So here's the thing. The links are in the description of the YouTube and the audio. There's specific links just for our listeners here. So please click them. Use our promo codes. Let them know we sent you. There's some great deals in there. Benji, where are we going next?
Well, as we say, the polls don't vote, but the polls piss off Donald Trump. So I show him really for that reason, but make sure you don't rely too heavily on them. Vice President Kamala Harris takes a 5-point lead in the new Reuters Ipsos poll. That's a B+ poll. So going up 5 really takes it outside just slightly that margin of error. So that's significant there. And then in the Morning Consult poll, she broke 50%. She crossed that 50% threshold right there, which, as Mike Madrid, who's a real expert strategist and a friend of the MeidasTouch Network, says, Harris is now hitting that 50% in polling. That's a big deal. This is a major threshold to be breaking through. And in the Morning Consult poll, she's got 50% to Donald Trump's 45%. The last poll had her +3. Now she's +5, and that will keep you posted on others. I think it's an important video for you to all watch. You can go back after this show, or after, if you're a patron, after we all get to meet each other and ask questions after the show at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Watch the interview I did earlier in the day with Tom Bonnier and Simon Rosenberg. Remember, we interviewed them back in 2022 when the corporate media was pushing really bad polls, though, and the red wave narrative and flooding the averages with like Trafalgar and all these horrible polls, especially in swing states. We did about a 20-25 minute interview together, really data heavy, where we talk about what the plan is by these MAGAs and bad pollsters to try to bring down Vice President Kamala Harris's average, to try to, in our opinion, suppress the vote. So take a look at that. I think it is an important one. I think it's also important to reflect on who you surround yourself with. And Donald Trump at the debate, at his rallies now, and at the 9/11 memorial. His closest and top surrogate now is Laura Loomer. That's also making Marjorie Taylor Greene very jealous, and she's attacking Laura Loomer. And Laura Loomer says that she has videos of Marjorie Taylor Greene using the N-word, that she's going to expose Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there's this whole inter-MAGA civil war or fight taking place as well. But Donald Trump's top surrogate now is Laura Loomer. She is a 9/11 denier. How do I know that? She posted. She said 9/11 is an inside job. And just last week, leading up to the debate, let me just share with you some of the types of messages that she was saying on her podcast, where and this is where I'm like, don't call this conservative. Like, they'll be like, oh, she is the conservative podcast. Like, this is not conservative unless it's conserving 5150 or conserving madness or conserving just absolute craziness and racism and hate. This is what Laura Loomer said last week about what she expects Kamala Harris to do at the debate. She says, oh, they're all just going to talk in their DEI Shaniqua voices. Here, play this clip.
Like the way they talk and their little DEI Shaniqua voices, and it's just very piercing, very irritating sound. They all have the same voice. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, Letitia James, and Fani Willis. Like all of the like meritless DEI Shaniquas talk the same way. It's very obnoxious the way that they talk.
Could you imagine if President Biden rolled with, hung out with, brought a person like that around him every step of the way? Guess what I would say? I would call that out immediately and say that is disqualifying behavior right there. But what does Donald Trump do? Well, at all of his rallies, almost all of them, he devotes a segment where he praises her as a very courageous person. I could show you 20 of these. I'm not. I'm going to show you one. Play it.
Really taken the country by storm. Very powerful person, very strong person, very courageous person, a warrior. Laura Loomer. Laura, where are you? Thank you, Laura. Great job you do.
So again, if you think that Laura Loomer is a warrior, a very courageous person, a patriot, then I think that you should not be anywhere near anything other than, in my opinion, a psych ward or a prison cell, or just stay the heck away from us as the third option and maybe be in the basement of whatever and don't come up from being a basement dweller. Now, let me show you some of the other things that Laura Loomer has been posting over the past few weeks. You know, again, this may be triggering, but I don't want to sugarcoat her language. Let me just show you this. Did you know that Kamala Harris, this is what Laura Loomer posts. Did you know that Kamala Harris was once an escort and that she got her career started giving blowjobs to successful rich black men? She sucked Willie Brown's penis while he was a married man in exchange for political power. Here she is dating Montel Williams, who appears to be holding hands with more than one woman at the same time. You can see Kamala had no issue being a side piece escort and all-around hoe over her career. We already have enough political whores in D.C. We don't need a real whore in the White House. That's who Donald Trump praised after that as courageous and a great person. She also posted this. She goes, Donald Trump just retruthed this photo on Truth Social that insinuates that FBI Director Christopher Wray may have been involved with or even ordered the attempted assassination of Trump. We can't trust the FBI. The attempted assassination was an inside job. You see her pattern here. She says 9/11 was an inside job. She says that the assassination attempt of Donald Trump was an inside job, but she's reposting Donald Trump here. Donald Trump posted a photo of his own FBI director. This is the guy Donald Trump appointed. This is a Republican FBI director, Christopher Wray. And Donald Trump posted, what did you know and when did you know about it? regarding the Butler, Pennsylvania incident. And then she's now posting, Laura Loomer, the earpieces as well. And again, Donald Trump is praising her as courageous. There's also video clips too of Donald Trump when he invites the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund funded golf tournament Live at his golf courses. I think Trump was asked, well, how do you square that with the involvement of the Saudi Arabian government in 9/11? And Trump's response was, well, no one really got to the bottom of what happened on 9/11. So just so you know, their views are aligned. Brett,
to take this 9/11 conspiracy theorist and bring her to the 9/11 memorial in and of itself is just completely sick. And to rely on this person, and Donald Trump here has a very interesting relationship, I will say, with Laura Loomer. And he also uses Laura Loomer as sort of his hatchet man in a way. What she does is she is the main source of many of these conspiracy theories that you see circulate. And then you see Donald Trump citing them and MAGA citing her made up conspiracy theories as reasons to attack other people for Donald Trump. So you probably, there were a lot of this stuff of people attacking Donald Trump, attacking the various family members of the judges in Donald Trump's criminal cases and civil cases. Those rumors that were started, those lies that were spread, started with Laura Loomer, then ended up on Donald Trump's account, were amplified. So she is targeting people with false information. She creates fake accounts. She does fake posts for them. She is honestly one of the most heinous individuals imaginable, spreading such hatred, such vile BS nonstop. She is a completely sick person. And now finally, we're seeing some of the corporate media begin to speak about this. Ben, I know you have been speaking about Loomer now going back for years, I think, speaking about that. Why is everybody giving it a pass that Donald Trump pals around with this individual? What the heck is that about? Thankfully, we saw it on CNN. We saw Jake Tapper finally covering this the other day. Welcome to the club. But I'm happy, though, that it is being covered in that sort of way, because that's how Donald Trump is going to govern. Ben, you say on this very show quite often, you say, look at Laura Loomer. You say, look at the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world. It's ironic that they're in a feud right now, but you say, look at all these crazy people who you view as so wacky and so incompetent and so dangerous. Those are the people who are going to be put in charge of your life. It's something that Ben has said from day one. And how do you know? Because he is the person who he elevates to the highest positions of his campaign and gives them the most power in his campaign. That is the reason why Donald Trump is spewing these disgusting attacks on migrants about dogs and cat eating and all this stuff. Comes from Laura Loomer. All this stuff stems from her. It is truly evil. It is truly reprehensible. And once again, this is not a left-right Democrat, conservative Democrat, Republican thing. This is humanity versus a sick human being, a toxic human being who belongs nowhere near our politics and would probably not even be able to find a job anywhere else if not for the Donald Trump campaign. The whole thing is completely sick.
And this is what happens when you continue to surround yourself by yes people as well. It's like you open up the floodgates for no one in your inner circle who genuinely cares about you, but I guess no one genuinely does care about him, to open up the doors for Laura Loomers of the world to step in and now all of a sudden be his confidant, the person who he gets his information from every single day. We don't get that moment at the debate of the dogs if not for Laura Loomer literally being in his ear. Now, I'm conflicted about it, and I don't want to make light of the situation because it's absolutely disgusting what he spread on a national stage. But also, that is Trump. That you could bait him with a tweet. He does not actually look into facts of what's happening in the world, and he's only given information in bulleted versions or by the people who he chooses to surround himself with on a daily basis. So I'm glad, at least in this aspect, that the American people got to see just how utterly corrupt his brain and his train of thinking truly is, because that is a despicable just falsehood, lie to spread, to the American people.
Well, that's what he's been doing every single step of the way, and it's why we have to call it out. But also, Fox and others normalize this behavior. They tell you the sky is green, the grass is blue. And, I wanted to highlight over there what, Bill O'Reilly and Geraldo Rivera had to say, because at least they honestly talked about what went down. I mean, look, after Biden had a bad debate in the first debate, what did we say? We said he had a bad debate. We said Donald Trump did very bad also, but we said Biden had a bad debate, and we were real with the facts. And then the question was, could President Biden, if he surrounds himself with the right people like Vice President Kamala Harris's team of people, was he capable of continuing to lead? And ultimately, for me, because he was surrounded by Kamala Harris and an incredible cabinet, and he had demonstrated that things were going well and that he was, able to get all this legislation passed. It was, to me, I could say horrible debate, but he's doing a good job. I could square that. But in Trump propaganda world, what are they saying? They're like, oh, that was a great debate. He kicked their ass. That's exactly what you need to do. And just, no, he didn't. He didn't. And if that is how you're going to run things and claim things, then you're basically want to turn America into Kim Jong-un, it's North Korea. You want to turn America into Vladimir Putin. You know who wins 92-6 or whatever? Like Vladimir Putin. If you want to look at the election results in Russia, they're like 92-6. The same types of polls that Donald Trump claims show that he wins, which are like Newsmax online Twitter polls, look 92-6. Just if you're willing to go there, you're willing to go anywhere. And we, the people, deserve so much better than that. I want to share some of that when we get back, talk to you about a few legal updates, one good, one not so good, but still the wheels of justice are turning in the right direction. That and more. Let's take our last quick break of the show.
You know those podcast ads that sound like a robot reading a script? Well, here's me, the robot, reading for The Perfect Gene, including this bit. They sent me their genes, and after wearing them to battle dragons in a video game, I can confidently say that they're even better than advertised. But is that my true opinion, or just more of the script? Only one way to find out. Picture this: 700,000 pairs of men's parts saved from bad genes. The hero? The perfect gene. Say goodbye to stiff, uncomfortable denim and hello to comfort. These jeans fit like they were custom made, stretch like you wouldn't believe, and look fantastic. The fabric is soft and smooth, no exaggerations, promise, and they're durable enough to handle the everyday challenges life throws your way. The perfect gene also offers an impressive range of sizes with 6 fits from skinny to thick, waist sizes from 26 to 50, and lengths from 26 to 38. So whether you're a short king, a person with a solid build, or somewhere in between, you'll find the perfect fit for the body you're rocking. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectgene.nyc, or just Google The Perfect Gene and use code MeidasTouch for 15% off. That's MEIDAS15. All jokes aside, I've tried The Perfect Gene, and honestly, they become my go-to for comfort and style. These jeans are super stretchy, allowing me to move around freely, and they fit like a dream. I've even gotten a few compliments, which is always a nice bonus. If you ever struggle to find jeans that fit comfortably and look great, The Perfect Gene will be a game changer. But The Perfect Gene doesn't stop there. They've also revolutionized t-shirts. The Perfect Tee has just the right amount of stretch to keep things flattering while staying soft and comfortable. And no worries about shrinking in the wash. It holds up perfectly every time. And remember, The Perfect Gene always offers free shipping, exchanges, and returns, so your order is completely risk-free. It's finally time to stop struggling with uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc. A reminder, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use code MeidasTouch at checkout. That's MEIDAS15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code MeidasTouch15. After you purchase, they're going to ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Forget your khakis and get The Perfect Gene.
Flavored air is not like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, orange vanilla, and new peach blush. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor, no combustion. Fume draws flavor to your mouth and fills the void ditching a bad habit can leave. Fume is not a vape, and there's no nicotine, and it's not addictive. It's very important. Also, Fume has non-toxic flavors. It's truly a guilt-free alternative to your bad habit. The look and feel of Fume is awesome. The design is super high quality. Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products and is backed by doctors in the US. Personally, my favorite flavor is the orange vanilla. I love the way it tastes. I'm truly a huge fan of Fume. So many listeners of this program have told me they've quit their bad habits with Fume, and I know it can do the same for you. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use our code MIDAS to get a free gift with your journey pack. So head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com. Tryfume.com and use the code MIDAS, MEIDAS, or scan the QR code on screen to get a free gift with your order today. Tryfume.com. Use the code MIDAS. There we go.
Let's go. I love Fume, and so many of the Midas Mighty have told me that they use Fume as well to quit their bad habit. I'm not going to go on and talk about it. Just let me know in the comments if you've used Fume, because I love seeing all the folks who've used Fume to quit their bad habit, and those perfect jeans as well. Let me know in the comments if you guys have worn those perfect jeans because of Brett's incredible read. That was a really interesting, robotic. Very good, Brett. Very good.
I get into it. Right? You gotta play the part.
YouTube, click the links. We work hard on those discounts for y'all. Ben, where are we going?
Where we're going, this idea that Fox and MAGA World is now spending their time attacking the moderators. They're like, they fact-checked him. They fact-checked him twice. Really, once where Donald Trump said that the Democrats support executing babies. He's like, and they're all supportive of abortions at 9 months. And once the baby's born, they're like, what should we do with the baby? You know how offensive that is to women, that you are accusing women of killing babies and that women are doing 9-month abortions? That is not happening. And you are turning deeply private and some of the most difficult things that women have to go through into some lie, conspiracy, that there's murder taking place. It is absolutely just a horrible thing. So all the moderators said there is no state in the United States that allows the execution of babies. Okay. The other time that the moderators did jump in is when Donald Trump accused Haitian migrants of roaming around Springfield, Ohio, stealing people's pets, their dogs, their cats, and also apparently jumping in bodies of water to eat the dogs, eat the cats, and then eat the geese and ducks, in front of people, apparently. And all the moderators said is, we spoke to the Springfield city manager, and they and the police say this is not happening in Springfield, Ohio. One, accusing people of murder falsely, and two, accusing people of murdering and eating pets. The only two times that there is probably a corporate responsibility for the moderators to jump in. Donald Trump spoke for way more time also than Vice President Kamala Harris. They turned on his mic and let him jump in and make more lies, whether it was about fracking or other things, where she said, can I make one point? And she didn't say it obnoxiously like him. I just want to respond. I know it's not my turn, but he's lying. Can I? And they wouldn't let her do it, but they let him do it. But yet they're whining that the moderators were unfair to him. But they're also saying he won the debate. It makes no sense. And again, I don't want our media looking like North Korea's or looking like Russia. One of the most interesting things about the Russian indictment regarding their influence operations here using American media right-wing groups as front groups is there was some things that right-wing media was doing in the United States that Russia was like, hey, be a little easier on that, because it was too obvious that they were involved in the influence. Like, can you pull back on that just a little bit? you're going too far with your propaganda. You're gonna let people know, and that I just don't want that in the United States of America. So Kayleigh McEnany, who by the way Donald Trump calls her milquetoast, he goes around calling her misogynistic names. Oh, and by the way, the same thing he did with Megyn Kelly. Remember during the debates in 2016 with Megyn Kelly, where he made the statement and she got all those death threats afterwards. And he basically said that she had blood coming out of her during the debate. Again, horribly misogynistic. I'm not going to show you the clip of Megyn Kelly, but Megyn Kelly, after Taylor Swift endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris, Megyn Kelly was like, who the hell do you think you are? How dare you do that? It's like Donald Trump mocked you in front of the world. He cost you your job. He ripped away your dignity. He treated you like crap. And here you are, what? You want to make some bucks off of him right now? So you're rushing to his defense. And Kayleigh McEnany, he calls you milquetoast. He mocks you. And then they because of the mocking, they're like, okay, I guess I gotta do it. It's like MAGA Mike Johnson. All these people are afraid of his name calling. So he makes them submit, and they submit to him, and they just do what they want. It's like crazy stuff. Here's Kayleigh McEnany saying that ABC was not credible. Here, let me show you this clip.
So, last night ABC had a choice. They could be credible, solid, probing, fair debate moderators, or they could be partisan activists. And they chose the latter.
Partisan activist. Donald Trump went up there saying people are eating dogs and cats. Like, what are you talking about? And this is the type of stuff that Fox has been pushing. Here is one of their hosts, Kurtz, and here's what he's got to say. Let me show you him.
Howie Kurtz, live in Washington for us. So, Howie, how do you grade ABC on this debate?
Sandra, ABC gets a D-, and that's being generous. In fact, the network's moderators were so blatantly biased against Donald Trump that it vindicated his pregame criticism of ABC as dishonest. Now, it
vindicated his pregame one that we all made up, that if he did bad, we were going to blame the moderators. The same way we did that with CNN, and we said that they were committing media malpractice, but then when they didn't do anything that they should have done when Donald Trump was spewing lies and just say, hey, people aren't executing babies, we thought that CNN was good because we bullied them into submission to be total and utter hacks. I mean, come on here. Fox spends the entire buildup to the debates mocking the network and threatening boycotts, and then after it's spewing horrible propaganda. Horrible propaganda. All right, I want to talk briefly about these court cases. Number one, the appellate division, or the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, denied Donald Trump's stay in the when Donald Trump's trying to get a stay in the Manhattan District Attorney criminal case. Donald Trump lost at the district court level and then tried to appeal it to stay. The sentencing, though, is in November. Is when it's currently scheduled for. Judge Scott McAfee in Georgia ruled that based on the supremacy clause, that federal law trumps state law, no pun intended, and as a result, certain of the counts against Donald Trump, 3 counts in particular, are not allowed to proceed. Those are counts relating to false statements and documents. But there are a number of other counts that will still remain. Trump still faces 8 felony charges total. The kind of interesting thing there, although it's not interesting for terms of justice, is that what Judge Scott McAfee relied upon is that the supremacy clause says that federal law is supreme. So in other words, these are the types of claims that only Jack Smith can bring, essentially. Not that there is no remedy, but the state law is not where it comes in. This should be a Jack Smith thing only. But then you have the United States Supreme Court and Donald Trump's right-wing justices saying that there's absolute presidential immunity, which Jack Smith now has to brief to explain why Donald Trump's conduct is outside the scope of any absolute immunity. I want to toss it over to Brett for a second to talk about a very important topic here that we all need to spend more attention and more time talking about. But what I did find interesting is there was one moment in the debate as well where Donald Trump basically said that he was asked, do you have any regrets about January 6th? He said, I did nothing wrong. All I was doing was basically, they just told me to show up and give a speech. Remember he said that? What's interesting there is not just it's a ridiculously stupid answer and a lie and horrific, but it also seems to concede that it's outside a core constitutional function or an official presidential act if what he was doing is not in any official capacity. If he claims, I didn't even know, I just showed up to speak at a speech, which was at a campaign rally, I bet you Jack Smith uses that in his briefing to show why Donald Trump shouldn't have absolute presidential immunity at all. Brett, I know there's a really important topic to talk about.
Yeah, and first, Ben, just to close out some of the things you were saying before the legal stuff about people like Kayleigh McEnany and people like Megyn Kelly who have so bent over backwards to kiss Trump's ass, I will say, for no reason, even though they know better. I want to bring this tweet up that was posted by Carl Quintanilla of CNBC. And this is a post of J.D. Vance in 2016. And this is the perfect example of that, and it ties it all together. This is in response to a tweet from a journalist reporting about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, being forced to keep their children home, reporting damage to their property as these anti-immigrant conspiracy theories thread, fanned by statements by Trump and Vance. And then on top, Quintanilla, who's a great reporter on CNBC, does economic stuff, posted this J.D. Vance tweet from October 2016 that says, Trump makes people I care about afraid, immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. Well, J.D. Vance, he wants better of you too, and you have disgraced yourself. For what? You have disgraced yourself, and you are torturing these people who you used to at least pretend to care about, and it is disgusting. While we're on the topic of the debate, you're right, Ben. I think perhaps one of the most underlooked points of the debate, and probably one of the most important points of the debate, was the conversation around climate. And I know all of you have been enjoying our climate updates, and we've been promising to bring you more updates on climate, which is a topic that, because of the rise of authoritarianism, we are seeing slip away from the headlines. So we're trying to make sure that it gets the attention it deserves. But Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were asked about this very important topic during the debate. The simple question, right? A complicated answer perhaps, but a simple question where you should have an idea about what to say. What would you do to fight climate change? Vice President Harris responded by pointing out that Donald Trump thinks climate change is a hoax and talking about her policies. Trump somehow shifted the topic to Hunter Biden. I'll play a little bit of this.
The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China.
All right. He goes on to lie. He then starts talking about Hunter Biden for the rest of the clip. But that in and of itself, we're talking about disqualifying behavior, not acknowledging even that climate change is an issue that needs to be solved is utterly disqualifying. And it's going to totally screw America over in the future if somebody like Donald Trump gets into power, just like he screwed us over before. And it's also going to set us back in terms of leading the world in actually combating these things, leading the world in industries and clean energy industries. Donald Trump wants to cede all those industries to countries like China and have them upstart the clean energy revolution, when that right now is the product of America, American-made jobs. Donald Trump wants to ship all those overseas. And Vice President Harris's policies on climate change are like extremely tangible things that we could talk about. I mean, honestly, I could spend like probably an hour talking about this. I'll name off a few things that you may have forgotten about, some of which Vice President Harris mentioned. But remember, she was the deciding vote to enhance the Democrats' clean energy plan, which delivered more than 300,000 clean energy jobs in communities across the country. Real, good-paying, future-proof jobs. We could even go back, right? As California Attorney General, she defended the laws that protect clean air and clean water. Like, Donald Trump doesn't want clean air and clean water. He wants to remove all those guardrails. And in the Senate, she authored legislation protecting clean water and replacing lead pipes. Donald Trump is apparently pro-lead pipes. I mean, when you talk about the contrast, it sounds almost silly, but these are just the facts. You could continue to go back, right? California Attorney General Kamala Harris won more than $50 million from settlements from Chevron, BP, Phillips 66, all these other companies, and filed criminal charges against the company responsible for oil spills in the state. She understands this is an existential threat. She's authored legislation calling climate change and declaring a climate emergency. She's met with leaders all around the country about this very topic. Meanwhile, what did Donald Trump do when he got in office last time? He immediately took us out of the Paris Climate Accord, made the United States not even a player in the game of the future of the climate policy. Trump calls climate a hoax. He had this secret meeting with oil executives a few months ago. I like how these stories just go away sometimes, right? He literally bribed them with political favors, saying that if he's reelected, he is going to remove all the regulations for the oil and gas industry in exchange. And he was asking for $1 billion in campaign donations. If you could give me $1 billion in campaign donations, I will do this for you. A quid pro quo with the oil and gas industry. And it's no surprise that after he had that secret meeting at his property, guess what happened? Executives in the oil and gas industry started donating a whole lot more money to Donald Trump. And these are things that have been referred to the Justice Department by groups like Crew and others. And the contrast cannot be clearer on these important topics. And so I wanted to make sure that I showed Vice President Harris's response to the topic and just remind you of the records here, because like Vice President Harris knows, this is an existential issue. Like, we don't figure out this issue, so many things go wrong. Not only do we lose jobs, but we lose the planet. And if we put somebody in power who just wants to help oil executives and not actually people get jobs and people survive and not have to live in deathly heat or all this various extreme weather that we're seeing around the world, it's going to be an issue. So I hope you enjoy these updates.
Oh, I enjoy those updates a lot. Who's ready to join us right now at the after show? Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Join it. We'll be there. I can't wait to meet you all, see all of your faces. You just have to go Patreon. That's how you have to go P. You have to go immature. You have to go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We'll see you there. Store.MeidasTouch.com. Get your pro-democracy gear. 100% union made, 100% made in the USA. And do me a favor. You saw those numbers we talked about, that MeidasTouch right now is number 2 of all audio podcasts that are viewed as liberal by Edison, although we believe it's pro-democracy and don't buy into the framing. That's just the audio number. So if you can, subscribe on audio to this podcast as well, not just the YouTube channel. It helps us so much for one of these reasons right here. So for all our YouTube watchers, go subscribe to audio podcast, wherever you get your audio podcast. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast there. It really helps a ton Want to thank everybody for watching this great episode. We appreciate you. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. And I'm still on baby watch right now. The due date as of now is September 16th, where I'm going to have a baby girl, Jimena Marine Mycelis. We'll keep you posted on that. So if you don't see me for a few days, that's where I'm going. I'll give updates as well along the way. And we could talk about it in Patreon as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on Patreon. You go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You'll see the link right there. Thanks, everybody. Jordy, take us out.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty!
The Midas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song. We will get it right whenever.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The film Against All Enemies, which I co-produced with Ben Mycelis and this network, has won awards around the world for its up-close portrayal of America's insurrectionist movement. It premieres in the U.S. on March 29th on Amazon and Apple TV. Go to againstalllenemiesfilm.com or click the link below. But don't just watch Against All Enemies. Tell your friends about it. It's one more way to hold accountable those who threaten our democracy. Thanks, Midas Mighty. Let's use our power well.